What's going on, guys? My name is Rob, not Andrew, not this time. I am here to introduce my Nissan 350Z to the world. Was told it would be a pretty cool car to do a video of, and well, here we are. We're here to go around it and show you what's what. So what we have here is my absolutely lovely Nissan 350Z. It's a 2008 model, HR 3.5 liter engine, V6. We started out buying her about 10 years ago. Just saw it online and was like, you know, that's a really cool car to have. At the time it was basically bone stock. It had a front and rear body kit on it. Did not have had stock side skirts. We left those on there. We left the body kit on it. We really liked it. We continued to just modify from there. We went ahead and got some aftermarket headlight assemblies. We went ahead and decided to do a upper wrap on it. We did a satin black upper wrap on it. We did not want to try to do the bumper. That would have been horrible. But we ended up getting, we went from the stock 18x8 wheels and we went to 18x 9.5 Nissan Masanos. They're wrapped in a Goodyear Eagle F1 tires. Very, very, very good tire, especially for in its day when it was. Very, very amazing tire. It made the performance of this thing stick so well in the corners. Moving on to the back though. So on the back side, what we have here, or what we've done, should I say, we have our body kit, obviously. We actually went and took the entire body kit apart, took it off the car. We went and reinforced and actually cut out a couple sections that were bad on it. Reinforced it with, you know, new fiberglass. Went down to bare fiberglass and ended up doing primer paint, clear coat, you know, the works on it, and getting it back to where it needed to be. A couple little, you know, spider cracks here and there, and we fixed it up, made it look good. And by the way, thank you, Scotty boy. You helped me out with that a lot. We ended up getting a catback aftermarket exhaust. It was a, I believe it's called Fairlady exhaust is what the name of it was. We ended up going with the different aftermarket turn signals. We stuck with the factory taillights because they're actually LED. I didn't know that. I was actually replacing the taillights at first to a different style of LED taillight when I found out they're factory. I had people hitting me up constantly when I started posting them saying, I'll buy them. And I was like, no, they're that good, I'm gonna keep them. But we ended up doing a rear wiper delete. I mean, who really needs a rear wiper? Come on. We ended up getting a little more involved with it later on, mechanically speaking, which we'll start moving into the interior and then we'll continue going from there. So here's the interior. We ended up going with sticking with the stock seats. They actually feel very, very, very nice for what they are. They're not leather, they're cloth, which is even better in my opinion, because I, number one, hate conditioning leather. It always falls apart no matter what, and the cloth is actually cooler, especially on the hot summer months. We live in Georgia. That makes a difference. We ended up going with a touchscreen aftermarket radio, or CD player, Bluetooth player. I think it's actually a DVD player as well, but we've never even messed with that function, to be honest. It's always just been a Bluetooth player. We did end up getting a Bully Dog tuner. It really helped out with the throttle response on this car, more than anything. It just went to a much more snappier, you know, as soon as you hit it, it's on. There's no delay, no lag. It is fly-by-wire, so, you know, there usually is a little bit of a delay there based on the actual computer having to react and everything, but that just made it so much better. We ended up going with a Torque Solutions short throw shifter. I mean, it is, make sure the e-brake's up. It is about the shortest throw I have ever seen on a shifter. I've never had one that lazy before. That's awesome. It was about twice that distance before. I know they say it's about 30% short throw, but that made it a lot shorter. It feels about half the distance. We ended up doing a subwoofer box right below the rear strut tower. Put a JL Audio W110 in it. I know it's nothing serious, just a little bit of bass. We like our rock. We don't really like a whole lot of rap. We've got a Rockford Fosgate amp right above the spare tire, along with a 1 farad capacitor, I believe it is. And we actually have did just a little bit of accents. We did a carbon fiber rear strut tower cover. Actual carbon fiber, not just that wrap crap that you just throw on there and, you know, think it looks good. No, it's actually carbon fiber. So I'm about to pop the hood on this thing. Prepare yourselves. What we got here is just your standard VQ 35HR. We ended up doing a lot of aftermarket parts to it based on performance and really just driveline, to be honest. That's the biggest thing, is honestly driveline. If you can make the power stick to the road, that makes it so much better than a high performance car that cannot deliver power to the ground. On the engine side, we ended up doing a engine cold air inductions. I should say cold air induction actually wraps down in front of the radiator. Put a Lines Racing oil cooler on it, a Mishimoto radiator, which, by the way, horrible. Don't do it. It's one of the worst things to ever install. Mishimoto did not engineer that very well. Had to do a lot of light modifications to make it fit correctly, but it is one of the best cooling radiators that you can buy for this car. So I made it work, which it works phenomenally, by the way. Going more along the actual drive line of the car, like I said, we have a Fairlady catback exhaust. I put test pipes on it for a short period of time. Did not like how raspy it was. It just made it very, raspy is the best word to use for it, to be honest. Very loud. So I went to Z1, talked to them. They ended up selling me their high flow Z1 cats. Took down the rasp and made it just a little bit quieter, but it made it so much sweeter sounding. We ended up putting a CSC elimination kit, which is basically the clutch slave cylinder elimination kit. They're horrible in these cars. I replaced 4 in 3 years. I can't tell you how quickly we were able to drop a transmission. We actually had it go out on us the night before we were going to the Tail of the Dragon. We had 6 hours to drop that transmission, find a clutch slave cylinder, put it in, put it back together, get it on the trailer to get to the mountains. That was interesting. That was a very, very sleepless night. We ended up getting a full face Unsprung upgraded clutch. The pressure plate has stronger springs in it, so it's actually able to clamp it a little bit better. Went with a lightweight flywheel. Comes factory with a carbon fiber drive shaft. That was actually really neat. I did not know that. First time I dropped the drive shaft, I was like, huh, feel that thing. Feels like it's hollow, like completely hollow. There's nothing to it. I did end up doing a different rear differential. I actually was servicing all the fluids, and I was like, yeah, well, the last time the differential was ever, serviced. So pulled the drain plug, and there was shrapnel attached to the magnetic plug. And we'll show you pictures of that. That was quite interesting. I was very devastated. Decided to figure out whether I was going to get a stock rear end, a factory limited slip or something. And after talking to Z1 a bunch and a bunch of guys that do track days, just ended up deciding that I was going to do a helical built LSD, which, by the way, 100% difference in the corners. Neither of those two wheels spin independently in those corners, and it grips. It grips so well. It no longer has right rear wheel spin when going through a sharp right-hander. It sticks, it hugs. We've outdone 911s in the corners in the Tail of the Dragon. Partially because we know that road like the back of our hands, but this car handled phenomenally up there after we did that. To solve the camber issues, we ended up getting Voodoo upper adjustable control arms. We went with TN coilovers. I got a SPC adjustable toe links in the back. Really helped with the toe and the camber. Knocked a lot of that out of the way right there, right off the rip. Ended up doing polyurethane engine mounts, transmission mount, differential mounts. We were already in there. I mean, had everything apart. Why not go ahead and just do it? You know what I'm saying? I'm sure we did a lot. Sure, there's a few things that I'm missing. right off the rip. Other than your general maintenance though, you know, obviously plugs, NGKs, laser iridiums, did those. Never had a valve cover leak on this thing at all. I know that's one thing that these things are prone for. Spark plug tube seals and everything, they're absolutely great. Obviously your fluid changes, AC blows cold, heat blows great. I'm sure there's some things that I'm missing, but at the moment, that's pretty much the gist of it. Other than your aftermarket headlights that you can see aren't factory, obviously. Ended up doing some little LED light bars underneath there too. We do mountain driving and nighttime mountain driving, so they came in a big help when it came down to seeing, especially the bears and the turkeys. Yes, turkeys. But this car it's been a great adventure. Hopefully one day we will be able to upgrade ourselves to like maybe a GTR. That'd be amazing. But we've had a lot of fun with it, and there's still other things to do. There's a lot of things that you can still do. You can do, you know, you get your upgraded sway bars, you get your aftermarket seats if you want to. You can do turbos if you want to, but I kind of go against that. Have you ever seen Donut Media, their 350Z builds and everything? They actually say in there that they had a lot more fun with them before they turboed them. But they even say they kind of ruined the cars after they did that. But, you know, she will be going up for sale. So we were talking about all the different cars that you can buy, you know, that are equivalent to this one or close to equivalent to it. I mean, you've got your Subarus, you got your, you know, Evos, you got Supras, you know, Skylines. They're all, you know, they're all their own different, you know, cup of tea and the particular persons that like those cars. You know, Nissan boys, you have your ones that are wealthy enough to buy a GTR, and then you have your ones that are really would like to have a GTR one day, but can't necessarily afford it right here, right now. There's a lot of price points that these cars go for. You know, there's some pretty ragged out ones out there that you can, you know, snatch up for $5 to $7 grand easily. You know, really you want to stay away from the DE motors. A lot of times those end up burning motor oil. It's kind of one of those things. The HR motor is the one that most people with 350Zs want to go for. It's the era of motor that they came out with right before they went to the 370Z. And obviously the GTRs. The GTRs had the dual intakes, this, that, and the other. As far as stock over modified, I will go modified every day. Only because, and this is my opinion, I like to see what things can change. You know, when we first got this car, had horrible camber, horrible negative camber. The guy had lowering springs on it. I was like, that's horrible. I want to put coilovers on it. I want to put adjustable stuff on it to get the negative camber out as much as possible. You want a little bit, but not a lot. You know, it's one of those things that you got to kind of do your research. You don't want to buy cheap parts. If you're going to buy cheap parts, you've got to kind of be your own quality control in a sense. Your cheaper parts, it's kind of one of those things. They kind of saw something online and said, we can't follow that exact pattern, but we can get close to it with lesser materials and say it works. And 9 times out of 10, it's not necessarily the case. But there's also mid-range parts. You know, you don't have to go your full, you know, 10 8-way adjustable coilovers, and you don't have to go your, you know, $200 ding dong, you know, coilovers. You can go with the mid-range. Like I went with the mid-range. I went with the TN green coilovers. I figured by the time I had to replace them, it would be just as cost effective as buying 3 or 4 sets of those TN coilovers as it would be to buy the initial high dollar coilover and then the cartridge kits to rebuild them. So, you know, at that point, you know, I keep the same set of coilovers on it for 60, 70,000 miles, swap them out again if I wanted to for half the damn price of the expensive ones. So it's kind of one of those things. And as far as your stock cars go, I do love a stock car that's fast. It's kind of hard to describe when a manufacturer can produce something that's already good out the box. But again, there's a dollar figure. A dollar figure a lot of times sucks. But buying something like this, When we bought this car, I think we bought it for, I think it was right around $7,500, $8,500. I can't remember exactly what we bought it for. But within the course of the time and everything, I put a lot of money into this car. Not right at once, over time, but it's one of those things that every time I put something into it, I notice something changed drastically. And I love that. I love that feeling of putting that little something in it, taking it out and driving it, and just feeling that instant change. It's like I was talking about with the tuner. I put that tuner in it, it fixed that throttle response so much. As far as your cars go, I like Nissan, I like Mitsubishi, I like all that. But again, that's up to you. Hopefully one day you can own a car like this or build your car like this. But again, that's on you. See you next time.